Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why some families seem to build empires that last generations, while others lose it all in just a few short years? Here's the uncomfortable truth. It's not just about working harder or getting lucky. It's about following a wealth blueprint that's been quietly passed down, refined over centuries, and rarely shared outside tight-knit circles. But today, we're pulling back the curtain. In this video, I'm handing you the keys to a financial system used by one of the most resilient, wealth-building cultures in the world. These 7 timeless money principles have helped Jewish families not just survive, but thrive through wars, recessions, and generations of economic disruption. No, you won't need a Wall Street degree. These rules are shockingly simple, but their impact is life-changing. Here's a stat that should shake you. Nearly 70% of wealthy families lose everything by the second generation. By the third, over 90% are back to square one. But the families that defy the odds? They aren't relying on luck or talent. They're following system zones most people never even hear about. Ray Dalio, one of the most successful investors alive, built much of his philosophy around these same ideas. He once said, "The biggest mistake people make is not thinking long-term, across generations." So, let me ask you, are you ready to stop thinking in dollars and days and start thinking in legacies and decades? Because what you're about to learn isn't just about money. It's about rewriting the financial story of your entire bloodline. Stay with me, because the very first rule might just change the way you talk to your kids about money forever. Rule number 1. Talk about money even at the dinner table. In most American homes, talking about money is like saying a bad word. It's whispered behind closed doors, avoided around the kids, and only discussed when bills are due or the budget's blown. The result? We raise generations who fear money, misunderstand it, or worse, repeat the same financial mistakes their parents never talked about. But in Jewish families, it's different. There's no shame in money talk. In fact, it's expected. From the time they're little, Jewish children learn that money is not a mystery or a source of stress, it's a tool. And just like reading or riding a bike, they're taught how to use it early. Parents don't just hand out allowances, they hand out lessons. They show kids how to make smart decisions, how to plan, give, save, and even invest before they ever earn their first paycheck. One of the simplest yet most powerful systems they use? It's called the 5-jar method, and it's a game changer. Every dollar a child receives is split with intention. 10% goes to charity to learn generosity. 20% into investments to grow the future. 10% into savings for what's ahead. 50% for essentials, because life costs money. And 10% for fun, because joy matters too. This isn't about the amount, it's about the habit. Give a kid $10 and show them how to break it down. That $1 for giving, it teaches compassion. The $2 for investments, it plants the seed of ownership and delayed gratification. Over time, this builds a level of financial awareness most adults never achieve. Imagine your child turning 18, not only knowing how to balance a checkbook, but already understanding the stock market, the value of saving, and how to give with purpose. That's not just financial literacy. That's a head start in life. And the best part? You don't need to be Jewish. You don't need to be rich. You just need to be willing to start. So tonight, after dinner, pull out 5 envelopes or jars. Talk to your kids about what each one means. Make it a ritual. Because when money is no longer taboo, it becomes something powerful, something that works for your family instead of against it. Ready for the next level? Because up next is a decision every adult makes by age 25, and how this one choice can either skyrocket your wealth or silently sabotage it for decades. Rule number 2. Hard work is overrated strategic. Work is how you win. Work hard and you'll succeed. Sound familiar? It's the American mantra drilled into us from the moment we can hold a pencil. And while hustle has its place, here's the bitter truth. Hard work alone isn't enough. Not if you're rowing full speed in the wrong direction. Jewish families teach something radically different. They don't just encourage work ethic, they teach work strategy. It's not about finding a job. It's about choosing the right kind of work careers that build leverage, not just paychecks. Let's talk facts. Jewish Americans make up less than 2% of the U.S. population, yet they're significantly overrepresented in high-impact fields like medicine, law, finance, and tech. Why? Because these careers don't just offer a steady salary, they create compounding wealth through high demand, valuable skills, and most importantly, scalability. Here's what that means. A pediatrician can treat 30 kids a day, amazing work, limited ceiling. But build a medical software company that serves hospitals nationwide? Now you're scaling your income far beyond your own time and effort. That's leverage. That's legacy-level wealth. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. His Jewish roots didn't lead him to just get a job in tech. He created a platform that operates 24/7, whether he's in the office or on a beach in Hawaii. That's not just working hard, that's working smart. And it doesn't stop at career choice. Jewish financial philosophy also emphasizes one golden rule: never rely on a single stream of income. Even successful professionals, doctors, lawyers, consultants build side businesses, real estate portfolios, or investment ventures, not because they're greedy, because they understand security comes from options. When the pandemic hit, millions lost their only source of income overnight. But those with multiple streams, they stayed afloat. Some even thrived. Ask yourself honestly, is your job just covering bills or building a future? And what would happen if that income stopped tomorrow? Don't wait for a crisis to realize you've put all your financial eggs in one unstable basket. Start small. Launch a weekend side hustle. Learn about dividend stocks. Partner with a friend on a micro business. One extra income stream might just be the lifeline your future self thanks you for. But here's where most people fail. They try to build wealth alone. Rule number 3. You're not broke, you're disconnected. Ever wonder why some people seem to stumble into amazing job offers, business deals, or once-in-a-lifetime investments while others grind in silence and get nowhere? It's not always about talent, or even luck. It's about who you know, and more importantly, who knows you. Jewish families have understood this for centuries. Your network is your net worth. In Jewish tradition, building wealth isn't a solo sport. It's communal. When someone starts a business, the community doesn't just cheer them on. They show up as customers. They invest. They connect them with suppliers, mentors, opportunities. It's a web of support that multiplies success. Now compare that to the typical American experience. Job hunting means endlessly tweaking resumes, firing off applications to strangers, hoping someone bites. But here's a wake-up call. 85% of jobs are filled through networking, not applications. Let that sink in. It's not just about careers either. Imagine you need $50,000 to grow your business. Most people head to the bank, face brutal interest rates, or worse, rejection. But a well-connected entrepreneur? They pitch to their own circle and walk away with funding, better terms, and built-in mentorship. Here's a true story. David, a Jewish entrepreneur, needed startup capital for his small e-commerce business. Instead of cold calling investors, he went to his local community center. Within 2 weeks, he had 5 backers from within his network. Not only did he get the money, he gained strategic partners who helped him grow faster than he ever could alone. That's the power of connection. But here's the part most people miss. Building a strong network isn't about collecting business cards or adding 1,000 LinkedIn connections. It's about real relationships built on giving before taking. In many Jewish households, kids are taught early, don't ask what you can get, task what you can give. This mindset creates goodwill that comes back tenfold. So, how do you start? Pick 3 people in your industry you admire but don't know personally. Reach out with value, not a favor request. Maybe it's an article that could help them, a compliment on their recent work, or an intro to someone they might benefit from knowing. Plant seeds. Don't beg for shade. Just water the relationship. Because down the road, those seeds could grow into opportunities you never imagined: job offers, partnerships, investments, game-changing advice. The kind of doors money can't buy. Rule number 4. Buy local. Build legacy. Here's something no one tells you. Every dollar you spend is a vote for someone else's dream, someone else's future, someone else's community. The question is, whose future are you funding? In too many neighborhoods across America, paychecks disappear the moment they land. People cash out on Friday, and by Sunday, their money has already gone to big box stores, faceless online retailers, and corporations with no ties to their community. But in wealthy Jewish communities, something different happens. That same dollar doesn't just vanish, it circulates. It goes from the local bakery to the community accountant, to the kid starting a business down the street, to the synagogue raising funds for scholarships. That dollar might pass through 10 hands before it leaves the neighborhood, and each time, it builds strength. This isn't just culture. It's strategy. Economists call it the local multiplier effect. And here's what it means in plain English. When you spend $100 at a local business, up to $68 stays in your community. Spend it at a chain store? Less than $43 stays. Online? Sometimes it's zero. Now imagine multiplying that by thousands of people every month for generations. That's not just support, it's an economic engine. So how do you use this in your life? Start small. Before your next purchase, pause and ask, can I get this from someone I know? Someone in my circle? Someone local? Need a new accountant? Hire the one from your professional network. Buying books? Skip the algorithm, visit your neighborhood bookstore. Even service providers, plumbers, tutors, graphic designers could be within arm's reach. It's not about boycotting big business. It's about prioritizing your people, because when their businesses thrive, your entire ecosystem gets stronger. And here's the kicker. The wealth you help generate may come back to you as a client, a mentor, a customer, or an investor. Jewish communities have shown us how powerful this can be. Their dollars bounce around, echoing opportunity from one family to the next. Meanwhile, too many Americans are funding companies that would never recognize them in return. So be intentional, be conscious, build a habit of economic alignment with your values and your circle. But circulating money is just one half of the equation. What you do with the money you keep is what separates struggling families from dynasties. Rule number 5, investing isn't extra, it's non-negotiable. Let me ask you something. How much of your last paycheck did you invest? If your answer is, well, whatever I had left after bills, don't feel bad. That's how most Americans do it. But here's the brutal truth. That's why most Americans stay broke. In Jewish financial tradition, investing isn't an afterthought. It's not what you do if there's money left at the end of the month. It's what you do first. Every single time. It's a core principle that dates back thousands of years. In fact, the Talmud, foundation of Jewish legal and ethical tradition, taught that a person should divide their money into thirds. 1/3 in land, 1/3 in business, 1/3 kept on hand. Translation in today's world, diversify. Invest with intention. Never put all your eggs or your future in one basket. Now let's break down why this works. Imagine two people, Mike and Sarah. Same income, $60,000 a year. Mike thinks investing is important, but optional. Some months he puts in $50, others, nothing. Sarah? She treats investing like renting a negotiable. She automatically invests 20% of every paycheck before she even sees it. No fancy strategies, just consistency. Fast forward 30 years. Mike has a few thousand in savings. Sarah? She's sitting on over $1.2 million. Same salary, different mindset. And it doesn't stop at stocks and retirement accounts. Jewish families often invest across multiple buckets. Paper assets like index funds or bonds. Real estate that builds equity and shelters income from taxes. Businesses that generate cash flow, whether they own them or back someone else's vision. Each asset plays a different role. Growth, stability, income, or inflation protection. But together, they create a fortress of wealth. So what can you do today? Start small, but start now. Automate a weekly or monthly transfer into an investment account of $50 makes a difference. Let your future lifestyle be shaped around what's left over after investing, not the other way around. If you're new, look into low-cost index funds. You don't need to become a stock market genius. You just need to begin. Because here's the deal. Real wealth isn't made by winning the lottery. It's made by owning assets that work while you sleep. That's how you build wealth in the background while life happens in the foreground. Now, I want you to think about something controversial, something most of us have been taught to fear: debt. We've been told all debt is bad. But what if that's only half the story? What if using the right kind of debt is actually your fastest path to financial freedom? Let me show you in rule number 6. Not all debt is created equal, some of it can make you rich. Rule number 6. Debt isn't the enemy. It's a weapon when you use it right. If there's one thing most of us were taught growing up, it's this: debt is dangerous. Avoid it. Pay it off fast. Never touch it unless you have no other choice. But here's a question nobody ever asked us. What if some debt could actually make you rich? Jewish financial wisdom doesn't treat all debt the same. In fact, it draws a bold line between two very different types: destructive debt. This is what most people have: credit cards, car loans, buy now, pay later schemes. It drains your wealth to pay for things that lose value the second you use them. Productive debt. This is what wealthy families use. It funds things that grow in value: rental property, a profitable business, education with real ROI. Here's the difference in action. Let's say two friends each take on $20,000 in debt. James books a luxury vacation, upgrades his phone, and buys a car he can't afford. Fun for a moment, worthless in 5 years. Michael uses the same $20K as a down payment on a $100K rental property. 5 years later, the property is worth $130,000 and generates monthly cash flow while the tenant pays off the rest of the mortgage. James has a bunch of memories and a mountain of bills. Michael has an appreciating asset, passive income, and equity. This is the difference between debt that owns you and debt you control. Even Warren Buffett, who doesn't toss around praise, lightly summed it up perfectly. If you buy things you don't need, soon you will have to sell things you do need. So, how do you apply this principle without falling into a trap? Start by doing a debt audit. Take every loan, every balance, every monthly payment, and categorize them. Destructive, things that cost you money without giving anything back. Productive, things that can generate income, equity, or long-term growth. Then, attack destructive debt with intensity. Pay it down in order of interest rate, not size. Free yourself from anything that's silently bleeding your financial future. Next, shift your mindset. Ask before every future purchase: is this debt going to grow my net worth? Shrink it? If it builds value over time, it might be a tool. If it's just to keep up with the Joneses, save your cash. Remember, Jewish families don't fear debt. They respect it. They treat it like fire. Dangerous when misused, but incredibly powerful when controlled. And when you learn how to control it, that's when you stop living paycheck to paycheck and start building a real financial legacy. But here's the kicker. Even with smart investments, powerful networks, and intelligent debt strategy, none of it matters unless you change how you see time. Rule number 7. Think like a legacy, not a paycheck. Most people live life in 30-day cycles. Rent's due. Bills pile up. Tax season rolls around. Maybe you squeeze a little into savings if there's anything left. But families who build wealth that lasts for generations, they don't think in months or even years. They think in decades. They think in generations. And that single shift in perspective changes everything. While most Americans buy homes based on short-term once-open floor plans, trendy kitchens, school zones, wealthy Jewish families often choose properties based on 50 or even 100-year value. They're not just asking, do I like this house? They're asking, will this serve my children's children? Same with education. While the average parent hopes to pay for college when the time comes, legacy-minded families are building funds today for grandkids who aren't even born yet. Sounds intense? It's not. It's just smart math. Let's say you invest $10,000 at a 7% return. After 20 years, you'll have about $40,000. But hold that investment for 75 years? You're looking at over $1.5 million. One decision, one generation, one habit passed down, and boom, a fortune. That's the power of time, not timing. So how do you adopt this mindset? Start with a family mission statement. Yes, even if you're just a household of one right now. Get clear on what your money is for, what values you want to pass on, what legacy you're building beyond just a number in a bank. Then, start involving your kids or future kids in the process. Show them what investing looks like. Talk to them about your will, your goals, your strategy. If they're young, keep it simple. If they're older, let them in on the blueprint. Because here's the truth no one wants to admit. Wealth that isn't understood doesn't survive. The inheritance may last a few years, but without wisdom, it vanishes. That's why families like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, many of whom built wealth with principles strikingly similar to Theshave, endured economic crashes, political upheaval, even war. They didn't just pass down money. They passed down vision. And you can too, even if you're starting late, even if you're starting small, even if no one taught you how. You get to be the one who breaks the cycle. You get to be the one who starts the legacy. Your legacy starts this week, not someday. So now you've got the map. 7 timeless principles that Jewish families have used for generations to build not just wealth but resilience, purpose, and legacy. Teach kids about money early. Work with strategy, not just sweat. Build a network that lifts everyone. Circulate dollars within your community. Invest like it's your rent negotiable. Use debt as a tool, not a trap. And most importantly, think in generations, not in paychecks. The real question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Because information without action doesn't build anything. Here's my challenge to you: don't wait for the right moment. Pick one of these rules and put it into motion this week. Not next month, not next year. Maybe you start the 5-jar system with your kids using envelopes from your kitchen drawer. Maybe you message 3 people in your industry and offer value before asking for anything. Maybe you finally automate that $50 monthly investment and stop letting lifestyle creep eat your future. Small steps lead to massive shifts. Now, I want to hear from you. In the comments, rate this video from 1 to 10. How valuable was this for you? 1, and tell me, which rule are you committing to this week? Not all 7, just 1. That's all it takes to begin. If you found this helpful, make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications, because the kind of content I share this isn't clickbait or recycled money tips. These are strategies designed to reprogram how you think about wealth, family, and the future. And you deserve to receive them in time to act. Because real wealth isn't just about big numbers. It's about options. It's about security. It's about the ability to create impact not just for yourself, but for everyone who comes after you. The journey to generational wealth starts with a single decision. You just made yours.